my mother fell in her condo. She lives down by the Whitby GO station, and hers was, we're going to get into why people fall, but got up and her foot was asleep. Okay, falls down. So she's in her living room and luckily didn't hit the coffee table or anything else, just kind of fell on the carpet. And what does she notice while she's down there on the floor? It was, gee, I didn't vacuum under my couch. There's dust under there. I better take care of that. Yeah, okay, never mind that. How about the hairline fracture we found out you got in your foot? Maybe we could deal with that instead of the dust under your couch. So that's what goes on, and it's really, luckily, a fracture, hairline fracture. She got off a little bit lucky that time, but very serious. And like some of you just asked, why do people fall? I mean, it's not just older people, but even younger people as well. And I mean, what are some of the reasons? Well, distraction, that's a big one. You're just kind of thinking about something else, or you're getting a coffee, I got to get to my table without spilling this, and meanwhile, maybe you're not noticing a spill on the floor, or somebody coming towards you, or a child running, or something. That's a possibility. Maybe it's a medical issue. I mean, there's all kinds of things like that where, did the fall cause the medical issue, or did the medical issue cause the fall? I don't know. We still don't know. My father-in-law had one of those, where he kind of fell two stairs down at our place, and we still think, I think the medical issue caused the fall, but nobody really knows for sure. But that can happen, something like that. Maybe it's I'm not doing something that I should, like I'm going down the stairs, and yes, I can make it without turning the light on. Of course I can. Turn the light on. Things like that, or safety equipment in your house, because not everything is built the same way. Like, for example, in my mother's place, I know they sell these suction cup handles that you can put in the shower, and the inside, hers is weird, and this whole condo is weird that way, where it's the inside of the shower is like tiles instead of a big slab of marble type design, which means putting these portable suction cups on the wall of the shower doesn't quite work, because they don't quite line up tile to tile. So you've got tile, and then you've got the grout for the other one, and so you can't really use them. So you've got to come up with another option, put in something permanent, maybe, something like that. So weather, that's a big one, and we know that. You're asking where I come from. I have a martial arts club in Whitby, and one of the first things everybody learns, we have classes from age 6, and our oldest student right now is 68, and the first thing you learn is how to fall safely without consequences for whatever reason. So like weather, on the ice, on the snow, on wet grass, for example, those things cause falls.
I fell in the rain because the visibility was not so good. I got a part further from the drugstore. It was dark, and the rain was coming down, and I didn't see a level in the sidewalk, and I hit that.
Oh, absolutely.
Visibility,
And that,
if you can go out in the morning, is better.
yeah, and even like that black ice thing, like I've had that at our place coming out, and quite frankly, if my car hadn't been parked where it was, so I kind of was able to use that as partial way of breaking my fall, I would have gone right down. And one of our karate instructors hurt his wrist. He's a runner, and he was out jogging in Whitby. We joke that he does the 4-minute Whitby, because he just like this all the time, and he hit some black ice, and he knows how to fall. Hit some black ice, and right down, split second, and I think he had 2 surgeries on his wrist. That's how bad it was. So all those things that...
But you kind of put your hands down to protect yourself, don't you?
Well, yeah, you do, but there's a way of doing that, which I'll show you in there. So things like that. And the other thing is, like lots of people will say, okay, today, and we've got that luxury of having some flexibility, hopefully, in our timetable, that it's kind of freezing rain, it's snowing, whatever. I don't have to go out today. So why be the warrior, oh, I can handle this, and out you go. Like, if it's an emergency, well, you don't have to go out anyway. Somebody can take you out if that's the case. And everybody right now, there's tons of places, Walmart, Grocery Gateway. If you want something, they'll deliver your groceries right to your house. Right, so, I mean, yeah, there's a little more money involved when you have somebody deliver your groceries. And my mother is just like that, she's not hurting for money, but she's one of these, they wanted that for bread? Are you kidding? I'm not paying that for milk. Right, so there you go. I had to drive all the way across Whitby so we could go, instead of to the metro that was right by where we happened to be, we had to drive all the way across Whitby to the No Frills so she could get something at about 10 cents cheaper. Yeah.
Sometimes until you have a fall,
Yeah.
you just don't, after, like I broke my knee, my mom fought with her broom on the veranda, fell on her head. And when you see the effect and the rehab time, after that, you're extra careful.
Oh, yeah.
Because we still think we're young and capable.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. And we have to, I mean, there's a fine line with that, because you don't want to fall victim to, I can still do everything I always did the way I always did it. And on the other hand, you don't want to just, okay, I'm old, I'm going to sit here and do nothing. No. So it's a fine line between the two things. And like, for example, this friend that I was talking about in Guelph is a big cruiser, and he's actually taking us on a cruise in a couple of months. And on the cruise ship, he kind of stumbled one morning when he was on one of his long cruises, and you get disoriented. It was only like stepping down like this high, and he was kind of stepping down after looking out the window, and disoriented himself, and sat down. I had to sit down for a few minutes, because even just that, like, oh, I almost this, I almost that, and yeah, it rattles you when something like that happens, right? Make sense? So that's what we're kind of talking about, kind of thinking about all the reasons and the awareness that people have or don't have that can keep themselves safe. Like, what do your shoes and boots look like? Like, are they safe? Because that has a big deal as well. If I've got rubber-soled shoes that kind of don't slip, or I've got smooth leather dress shoes or whatever, that can add to a possibility of getting an injury, a fall and an injury. So things like that, like around the house, like simple. How many people they'll tell you get injured in their house all the time, like for falls or things like, oh, I'm gonna cut this bagel. Like, people do that. I'm just gonna cut this tomato. Like this, or walking around carrying a knife or scissors. You got to be careful when you're doing that. If you're using it, use a cutting board, use something away from you all the time, right? So anything you can do to really kind of think about stuff, like look at your furniture in your house, that if you're prone to, well, gee, what if my foot fell asleep and I happen to fall? Maybe it's time to get rid of the coffee table that's metal and has a glass top on it.